I think we're live.
Are we? Are we on scene?
So, Ronald, how are you doing? How is the heat taking care of you in Portugal?
All
The
right.
heat
We
is.
are actually live. We can see it.
We are live. All
Okay.
right. Awesome.
Right.
Great.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here at the Smart Food Retail Show. We're going to be discussing, debating, and sometimes arguing about subjects from the food industry in general. Hello from the Midwest. We are melting. We have a heat index of 115, I believe. So eat that ice cream before it melts. I'm Greg Gutierrez, and I'm joined here with our friends directly from Europe, exactly in Portugal, which is that's at night, right, guys? Simon and Ronald. Simon, can you guys tag on with yourselves? Just a quick presentation, and then we get into the matter.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Greg, for the introducing. I am Simon, and I am the CSO of Rimasi. And well, we are in Portugal as Ronald too. And well, here we are going to discuss a bit to how has been the growing of this chain, this European chain, how has been the success, and what can also we learn from it to also apply in our businesses.
Excellent. Thank you, Simon. Ronald, give us a little bit of introduction, and then we
Okay.
actually can get going with your opening on the matter, and we're going to start debating and in a friendly way and relaxed way.
Oh yeah. Hi everybody. My name is Ronald C. Prasad. I'm that guy that's emailing you all the time, and I'm the CEO of Rimasi Corp, the best commercial equipment that is out there for supermarkets, bakery shops, and restaurants and C-stores. So yeah, today our subject is going to be German supermarket chain ALDI buying 400 U.S. Stores. And what do you guys think about this?
Well, at least 300, right? 400,
400, at least
at
400.
least, at
Yeah,
least.
yeah, yeah.
Those are those which are going to change the name to Aldi, but we also heard about others that are going to be part of Aldi, maybe maintaining the old name, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's correct. Jason Hart, the CEO of Aldi, Aldi USA. It's he's been doing a fabulous job of you know making the market grow little by little. They started out mainly in the west and Midwest coast, in the Midwest of the U.S. And now they have a strategy to go into the East Coast, which makes totally sense. And they wanted to buy Southeastern Grocers. And Southeastern Grocers, as most of you guys know or don't know, well, I'm going to let you guys know now. So it's basically Fresco y Más. They have some Fresco y Más stores, which is for the Latino-based community. Hola a todos aquellos nuestros amigos latinos por ahí. Then we have Harvey's stores, and then they have the Winn Dixies. So they're taking over the Winn Dixies and the Harveys, basically. Not all of the Winn Dixies are going to be automatically transforming to an Aldi
Correct.
because, yeah, Aldi has a system which their stores are a lot smaller than the typical Winn Dixie stores. So it's going to take some time. Most of the here's a fun fact: most of the Winn Dixie stores are leased. So what I think that they're going to do in the future is basically the like the really big ones. They're going to a portion of it. It's going to be dedicated to the new Aldi brand, and the other portions of it, they're going to sublease to other people. So pretty smart there from Jason Hart. I don't know about Anthony Hucker how he feels about it. He's the CEO of Southeastern Grocers. He said that he felt good selling to them. I think that knowing the history a little bit of Winn Dixie, Southeastern Grocers, they were about to go bankrupt and they got out of the bankruptcy. I think I think they're just taking a weight out of their shoulder, basically.
While you
Excellent
are talking,
introduction. Go ahead, Simon.
What?
okay, while you are talking, Ronald, I can't stop of thinking about how a really little family company that started with just one store could become like this. Because I heard, I mean, I read that they started with just one store in Germany, and
Hmm.
it
Hmm.
was a family owned business, and just that
Right.
was in, I believe it was 1913, and just after the war, World War II, the they took a second store.
Yeah,
So
that's
after
correct.
that, until our days, they have over 2,000 stores in the U.S. So it's
Apart from all the stores that they have here in Europe, they're in, obviously in Germany, and they're in Spain, they're in Portugal, they're in France, they're everywhere. You know, they're in Denmark, they are in Belgium, they are in England. So Aldi, it's a monster. It's a monster, and they have their optimized process, and their German way of being very. They calculate every single move that they do, you know, and the way how they when they started the Aldis in the U.S., how different, when people started seeing how different it is from the typical U.S. Supermarket, people still kept going back, you know, putting that little quarter, that little, you know, now it's a little plastic thing that makes it look like a quarter
So,
in
some
the
people came
cart.
out with that idea, Ronald. Yes.
Yeah, people hated it at the beginning, but then they
can't
eventually
believe it.
customers, yeah, people eventually get used to these type of things, you know. And you want to know why they do that, Simon? Greg? Anybody has an idea why they do that?
I don't have an idea. I'll let you share that with us. But once you finish that story, I have a story about Aldi when I came here first to the United States. So I'll
All
I'll,
right.
I'll tell the story as soon as you're done with the coin.
The idea behind, oh, I'm waiting to hear your story too. The idea behind the coin is basically not having an employee go outside and pick up all the cards, you know, and then bringing them back in, because people would just leave the cards behind or whatever. This would actually obligate you to place the cart where it's supposed to go, and hence optimizing time and employee timing, because they're probably like, I could have an employee do something more important than just go out, you know, and collect the carts that the customers left outside. So and they have less carts missing, damaged, or whatever, you know. So uh, you know, maybe a homeless guy will put in a quarter there, and just, you know, get away with the cart. But other than that, you know, they're pretty safe.
And that is just one of the strategies to save money, but
Yeah.
there are a ton of them.
Yes, a ton of them. Greg,
Okay,
what's your
Greg,
story?
please.
It ties into what you were saying on how all the supermarkets were perceived when they started the business in the U.S. So this goes, and I'm gonna feel very very old. 20 years ago, when I came here to the United States to study, I went to study in a really small town, Macomb, Illinois, Western Illinois, Letterneck. And basically it was the typical college town. Everybody was there for college. 20,000 people or so when there were classes, and there were probably a couple of thousands where they were no classes. And you can imagine these 20 years ago, they just had started. It was perceived as a very low cost to say appropriate works. And there was a system in the university that we were able to ride pretty much the campus bus, right? And they designed the route so that one of the stops was the Aldi store that just had opened, and it was kind of in the outskirts of the town. And since a lot of people were college students, and we are in a budget, especially the international students, that we are really in a double predicament in that sense, everybody was hopping on that specific bus route that led you to the Aldi, and you can tell that everybody was on a budget. You had the quarters. From time to time, you will hear someone, "Oh, someone has a quarter," because you just forgot to ring it, or you were just learning. And it surprised me that from back then, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, it was perceived as a low cost supermarket. And how they transition, and Ronald and Simon, you guys mentioned, now they are a little bit more on the quality perceived. They obviously have transfer the cost and the operations and the quality, that the efficiency that they achieve in Europe to here to the United States. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about is how Aldi has become very efficient on having their own private labels or their exclusive labels. This is also a similar evolution of private labelings to exclusive labels. And I'm going to talk about a little bit of that with your permission. So we know that, and how this is going to impact the region that we're talking about, where Aldi is going to acquire the 400 or so supermarkets. Having around 90% of their offerings as exclusive brands, they obviously going to bring that knowledge and that execution to the area. What is a private label, or what is an exclusive brand? Basically, it's a way that supermarkets and Aldi has a way to have a more compelling story to the clients. In the classical run to win, or the race to win the customer loyalty, these type of executions have become a competitive advantage, because with your in-store experience, now you're adding your product experience, where you can merge what you are offering your clients in the supermarket as the experience. Now you embed that into your product, right? You have your product with your identity, you have the product with your experience. And what happens now is that the experience doesn't end at the restaurant. People will take your products, and you will expand the in-store experience to a family experience, something that you take, you enjoy at a family dinner, or at a party of a gathering. And what it does, this type of branding and private label experiences, is that you can create a cross-generation experience with the loyalty that, let's say, your parents have in that brand. Now your kids, your sons, see how you're behaving and how you are experiencing those products. So it's a very key and important component that supermarkets are able to expand in this experience. The second component of the private labeling, of the exclusive label, is that it's a very cost-effective solution. By controlling how you want to portray your brand, which ingredients you want to have, and what experience you want to give to your clients, you're able to maximize your product offering. And by maximizing your product offering, obviously you're generating more margins for the supermarkets. In return, you can invest in the experience. So basically, it's a win-win situation if you're going to go and do private labeling. And in the same sense, it's now been evolving to exclusive brands. If you guys remember or know the origin of white labeling, I don't know if Ronald or Simon knows why it's called white label. Basically, because the packaging was very, very boring, just white, basic, uh, plain, and it was basically white because they wanted to maximize and reduce the investment. So now is transition to an exclusive brand, which you have really awesome packaging, really awesome offerings, and really great experience. And how is this going to impact the region when you see a monster stomping through the area that we know they have an exceptional way of executing their exclusive brands. They have a exceptional way of executing the operational activities and the quality. It may be scary to a local chain of supermarkets to see how they're going to compete with that. And that's a question that I open to Simon and Ronald. What do you guys think the other supermarkets may be aware, may be thinking, or actually they might be already in the plans on developing their own exclusive brands?
I
I think
would
I'm gonna
say that,
go. You
yeah,
go.
go ahead,
You go.
Ron.
You.
I
Well,
would say
I
that,
you go ahead. You go
okay,
ahead. You go ahead. You go ahead.
I think that little supermarkets and little retail or food companies shouldn't be afraid of it. We should learn from it because they also were little companies. They also passed through different periods, like the one of the greatest inflations rates in the world in the beginning of the business, family business. So we should learn from them. And you Greg, you mentioned various strategies they use to reduce the costs, and also some of the process they have to achieve better, to be better organized. And that is what we should learn. For instance, they save a lot of money in doing everything. That's why they have almost everything like like private label, and also having little quantity of options make the experience in the supermarket shorter than going to other supermarkets. So a little location can attain a lot of people in comparison to a Walmart, for instance. They just use about 60% of the space, while a Walmart have 100,000 square meters, and Aldi have about 16,000. So it's about 16%. So they take a lot of advantage of a little space. They also save money through having in consideration the time that they should be open. They don't have to pay to a lot of workers because they don't work 24 hours while other stores do. So these are just one of the things that we should take and learn from them. Ronald, more ideas?
Yeah. I was going to say something else, but that thing on the last part that you were saying that they have less workers, so operating the supermarket, so they pay them less. Uh, they have less expenses. Yet their workers are the best paid workers in the supermarket industry. There was a survey done. I don't have the data exact right now, but this people can you can Google this up, and you will realize that all the workers are better paid than any other supermarket chain out there. Very close to Trader's Joe, but which, by the way, Trader's Joe is another Aldi. You forgot to say that there's an Aldi Nor and Aldi Sur. So it's basically Aldi North and Aldi South, because the brothers they got into a dispute and they divided one, and they decided to go, okay, I'm going to go with this Aldi and I'm going to go with that Aldi. So Aldi Sur, which was the one that got first in the U.S.,
Yeah.
stayed with the name Aldi, and then and then the other one couldn't come in with the same name because of copyrights and da da da. and because of the logo and blah blah blah. So they got the name Traders Joe. So you got two huge monsters there, which are basically the same monster, the same family. Um, what I think is going to happen is this. You say that they shouldn't fear. I say they should fear. They should fear. And I'm
That's
going
our
to
first
start by.
debate. That's our officially our first debate of the podcast.
Oh yeah. I like to be a little bit controversial on many things, but I have a point. I have a point in what I'm going to say there, though. Why, out of so many options that they have in the south and southeast of the U.S., you got the Bravo supermarkets. You got I don't know. Um, these other chains that I forgot their names right now. They don't come to mind, but Bravo Supermarket is one that comes to mind right now. And there's Publix too. Um,
Publix, yes.
why would
Let's
they
talk
go
about the
with
Publix next.
yeah? Why would they go with Winn Dixie? One, because I think Anthony Hawker, who is right now the current CEO of Southeastern Grocers, I think he did kind of a good job getting them. Well, he did a good job getting them out of bankruptcy, but he got them out of the hole. Yes, they redesigned about 100 stores, which in back in 2018, I think, and then so they have so Anthony basically shout out to you, Anthony Hawker. Basically he reorganized the company very well. He reorganized. He opened Fresco y Más for the Latino community. They expanded with Harvey's, and they bought back some Piggly Wigglies that bought Winn Dixie's in the past. So I think he did a pretty good job in organizing. So why did it buy? Why did it make sense to go out for Winn Dixie? One, because of the organization they have. It may not be as optimized as Aldi because Aldi is an optimization machine, I would say, but they are very well organized. They are big supermarkets that they know that they can sublease later on. So some Winn-Dixie's will be able to be, they're going to be transforming to Aldi's very soon in 2024. These things do take a little bit of time. We're talking about 400 stores, and some will remain with the name Winn-Dixie. And I think they're going to be making they're probably thinking like Germans. Most likely, they're going to start looking how they can optimize a big supermarket to have like a super or hyper Aldi, maybe. So that could be something they're looking forward on doing. Maybe that's a plan that it's not unraveling right now. We have to keep in mind that Aldi is a private owned company. It is not a public company, and they are extremely very secretive about the things that they do. You know, this is very different from the Kroger and Albertsons deal that merger, which is about to happen too. Once they get all the approvals from the government, they're going to have control about in most states 94% of the food retail. Think about that. 94% is controlled by one company. If Albertsons and Kroger's merges, so I think I think that the sophistication in which Aldi does their operations is going to probably put in risk a lot of independent grocery store owners. So they have to watch out because they look. This is something that's going to happen when they're going to rebrand some stores Aldi. They're going to take out a bunch of the equipment now, and then you're going to see a lot of guys that want to start a supermarket or whatever, and they want to buy a second one or a third one, open up a third one. They're gonna go and oh wow, Winn-Dixie is they're selling me this. It's very cheap. It's very nice. Look, Aldi is getting rid of that equipment not because they need capital. They're getting rid of it. It's because it doesn't work for their optimization process. It's because it's causing it's giving them an access of 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 uh, of um,
Yeah,
of
they have more equipment that what they will need to operate,
yeah,
and
they will need.
because they do
Yeah,
it more
exactly.
efficiently. And I want to
Exactly.
touch one of the things that Simon mentioned, and you are also mentioning that our all the stores are more efficient. They utilize less, let's say, less equipment, less space, but they also employ less people per store, let's say. So 400 stores are a lot of stores, and that means there's a lot of people in the area that I cannot say if I cannot quantify it if it's going to be 20% less, 30% less employees, like in the whole supermarket, let's say work base in the area. But that's something to consider. I mean, I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying that it's impactful that the society will have to readapt. So that was one point. And the second point was related to the other supermarkets. How are they going to be able to compete? I've seen in other industries like food related to the food that you can compete with these bigger efforts or more financially backed operations when you can differentiate your offering or your service to that national or universal service. That may be one of the routes, like the smaller supermarket chains. The more differentiated they are, the more specialized they are in their area, they're gonna be able to hold ground and not lose against the let's say that this movement that is coming to the area. And on top of that, they may be able to gain from it. Like there's
Look,
going to be
look.
a lot of public that wants to go to these experiences. Take it to the stream, but here in the especially in the Chicagoland area, there's been like a resurgence of that small fruit vegetable store that is very dedicated, very small. Your next to your neighborhood fruit and supermarket store. Take it to the next level, in the middle. Now that's small, but in the middle point. What do you guys think about that?
Well, I think that basically this is what's going to happen. Publix is going to probably try to copycat whatever Aldi's going to try to do, because Publix is going to be, out of all the supermarkets in that region. Right now, let's compare, for example, Bravo and Publix. Publix is going to be the one that's going to be studying and looking at the statistics of this and seeing how this is going to affect their business. Publix is going to be the ones going to be doing that, and most likely Publix is going to try to maybe copycat, maybe take the good stuff from Aldi and see what they can do. They're gonna have to probably drop prices on a lot of items. So definitely there's going to, and also the the Heinz of the world, you know, who you know, those are 400 stores less that are going to be buying products, you know. So it's going to be a chain of events. So it's going to probably get even more expensive for the independent supermarket owner. It's going to get more expensive for the Bravo supermarket owner. It's going to get probably more expensive for Publix, you know. And those are one of the things that I see. One of the factors that I see. I'm not saying they're going to stop buying from Hanes, but there's going to be they're going to shorten that because they have their own ketchup, they have their own mayonnaise, they have their own
They have their own chips.
mustard. They have exactly the Lays of the world that you know, that's something that's going to the demand, the direct demand is going to be reduced because those are 400 stores. Look,
I
just to
can't.
give you some, just to give you some numbers. More than 35% of the nation's population increases are occurring in the southeast, with an influx of over 6 million people measured at the end of 2022.
Mhm.
The total population is 77 million people. You think that Aldi did not know this when they got into the business? They knew this. They knew what they were doing very well. So, so these are you know, and Gen Z. There's going to be a lot of Gen Zs, and that's another thing. A lot of Gen Zs are the ones that are going to go more to probably the Aldis of the world. I'm going to try to experiment with their products and so on. And like I always say, you know, when I have a customer that says, "No, I want it without doors. I want something open," because people get accustomed to whatever it is placed right in front of them. You want to showcase your product. I understand that. It will be showcased, but use this because it's going to save you on operational costs. Aldi understands that very well. I mean, if you look at the shelving, how they put their products on the shelf, straight from the box. It comes in a box. They rip the part that they're supposed to rip, and they just put it right there. Why? Because it saves them time. It saves them money.
Mhm. Uh,
It's all about optimization and the energy consumptions too. What I do think what's going to happen to those small stores, those small independent groceries stores, I think they're going to probably be um uh probably how do you even say this? I think they're going to be more specializing more in certain products. For example, you might see one selling more frozen foods, for example. You know, one store specializing probably more on fruits and vegetables. You know, selling exotic fruits that are not around. You know, in various supermarkets. So
exactly.
that might happen. We have a question here from Braemar Alexandra. She asked us through Facebook. Simon, can you read the question for what she asked? Or Greg? Greg, do you see the question we got from a viewer?
I don't see it, but I can certainly. It's on Remasi's Facebook.
No, it's on the StreamYard. But I'll read it. I'll read it. It says here. Do you think these European supermarkets will change the way consumers in the United States shop? For example, the self-service, you buy with an app and leave the supermarket without having contact with a cashier or security guard, checking everything you bought. Yes, definitely. Yeah. Very good question, Raymar Alexandra. Yes. For me, I thought it was Alexandria Ocasio Cortez, but no, it was an AOC. It was RA. RA did a fabulous question, and yes, I do think they are going to change the way people shopping in the United States. And I think that other probably other supermarkets in Europe are going to be implementing strategies in the U.S. or Publix is going to start copying, for example, like what the Continentes are doing, what the Auchans are doing in Europe to compete against monsters like Aldi.
So we can keep talking and talking and talking. This is something that we love talking about. We love doing. Since it's 34 minutes in or so, I have one final subject to talk about, and then after that, we can go ahead and go ahead and close it with actually what we can do for some of the supermarkets, especially maximizing space. And I'll let that Ron talk about it at the end of the next subject. So hear me out that it's gonna be the bread and butter. One of the breads and butter from Aldi is actually their bread offering and the bread strategy, which is very, very smart because it's very cost efficient the way they offer bread to the clients. We've heard these numerous occasions how they, and not necessarily means that they losing money on the bread, but they do it in a very cost efficient way that the bread offering is, I want to say, you can now almost not go there and buy bread because it's very cost. It's a very cost efficient way of getting your bread. Um, a lot of the supermarkets have also bread and baking facilities inside supermarkets. It's a very traditional part of the supermarkets in Europe, without a doubt. But here in the US, more and more we see the supermarkets having their own bread um, facilities, baking facility. What do you guys think about that? Because that's also going to be a chocolate challenge. I don't know how much of the bread baking business is going to be removed from the other supermarkets and going through the ALDI. What you guys think about that? Let's try to see if we can make it in 10 minutes or so, and then we can wrap up.
Simon, you want to answer or should I answer that one?
You should.
Okay, well, yeah, definitely. I'm going to give you here a little bit of numbers because I like to work with numbers. There are about 65 million people in France, okay? And they have basically around 50,000 bakery shops, which make their own bread. Now, they're not selling cake. They're selling bread, croissant, good stuff. I'm not saying cake is bad, but it's not a cake shop. It's a bakery shop where they take their time to do different breads, hard bread, soft bread, all sorts of breads. So in U.S. we have about 300 million or so people, 300 million, 320 million, and you want to know how many bakery shops are out there in the U.S.? 5,000. 5,000. Why? Because everybody got accustomed to buying that wholesome bread that is packaged on that plastic thing that now it's kind of foggy to make it look like it's fresh, but it's not fresh. They industrialized that, and people are getting tired of it because it's costing them, a lot of health issues, and people want to eat healthier. And when you start buying these breads, for example, like all these offerings, it's good, if you're a fresco y más, for example, or you're a Latino supermarket, you definitely got to have a bakery shop there. You got to have your Cuban bread, you got to have your Colombian bread, you got to have el pan francés, el famoso pan francés, o pan brasileiro, because that stuff is what our consumers are looking for. And that's one strategy that you can defer, or you can take people out from Aldi and incorporate them into your supermarket. If you start
And Ronald, there's nothing like the smell of fresh bread when
yes.
you walk into a store, a supermarket. Oh my God, man. I'm pretty sure there must be some type of number. Someone has a number of the percentage of sales that increase during the baking portion or when you are baking, and that fresh smell of baked bread is out there. They should come up with that number. Sorry, go ahead.
I would like
And
to add
yeah,
something else here because I noticed that there are a lot of people in each region, could be Europe, could be US, that may think that because it is not cultural, you shouldn't do it. It's like here in the US, that's not the way we do. We don't have bakeries. We already have the packaged bread. But Aldi is teaching us that it is possible to change things like it is normal to do in the country, but in the best way ever. And you are going to go over the competitors. So that's one other thing we can learn from Aldi.
fresh donuts. I mean, who wouldn't want to have fresh donuts with their coffee? You know. So those are things
And
that you
then
really got
to
to incorporate in.
complement with a nice coffee shop.
Exactly. You and you can do all that in a reduced space. In reduced space, You can fit all that. You don't have to have a super hypermarket. You don't need a Walmart to do that, you know, because Aldi does it in 16,000 square feet. You can do that with 16,000 square feet of a supermarket. Even with less. That's called a real nice store planning design. Because
Ronald,
the prepare. Yeah, let me finish this one. Prepare foods, bakeries, and the frozen food is where the money is really at. And if you walk into an Aldi, you see rows of frozen stuff, rows of it,
thank
a
you.
lot of frozen food.
Thank you. Because that's actually the way we're going to wrap it. I'm going to tie it in with something that Simon mentioned at the beginning, how Aldi can maximize their offering in, let's call it, in a smaller area than the big Walmart. And Simon, you were talking about that you can actually execute those type of things, the bread and the coffee in the smaller area. We're going to wrap up with the last idea, and then we can say our goodbyes. How the Rimasi offering and what type of equipment and what type of service, it's actually the core business that specifically goes to that, maximizing your real estate, your area of offering with the type of equipment and the type of knowledge and solutions from Rimasi.
Well,
Yeah, go ahead, Tony.
yeah, go ahead. Well, we do have a lot of equipment that save a lot of space. For instance, we use plug-in, and also we save energy through different systems that save up to, what is the number, Ronald? I believe it's 60%.
Yeah, you can save up to 60 between 45 to 60% of energy. And then we have also the hydro loop system, which you capture all the heat that comes out from the plug-in equipment, and it gets stored, or it can be waved outside of the store. And then when winter comes, you can use it to heat up your supermarket.
Yeah, well, there are a lot of way with our equipment to save money, space, and energy.
Excellent. And
Yeah.
don't forget that Rimasi has the knowledge to actually go ahead and study your setting, your offering, and maximize it by creating the best solution, the best way for your clients and yourself. And we're gonna stop it there. We're gonna make it sweet and short so that people want more of these. We're gonna try to do this once a month. Don't forget that we're gonna be on America's Food and Beverage Expo in Miami, September 18, 19, and 20, if I'm remembering correctly. That's gonna be a great way to meet us, talk on any questions that you have. Don't forget to visit our website, remasi.com. If you have any subjects that you want us to talk about, or you will actually want to be on the podcast, on the conversations that we're going to have at least once a month, and probably more frequently once we come from Miami, just let us know. Our LinkedIn's are right there. Just click, send an email, call us. We are here most of the time working. Uh, Ronald and Simon are in European time, but you can find them really, really late on the US time. I'm here in the Midwest, Chicagoland area, but I'm open on to any conversation through the US. Ronald, your final thoughts, final ideas?
Final thoughts. I think people should get prepared. I think people should listen to. I think we need to stop. I think we received. I'm sorry. I think we received another comment. Yeah, AJ, Jeanette, thank you so much. I think we need to um, really start thinking about, especially the independent supermarket owners. Stop thinking that the if you really want to make this business grow, or you need to stop thinking that whatever comes into that box is your little piggy bank. It's not. Okay, it's not. You have to optimize it. And for example, the fine fare foods, the Antillanos of the world, they need to see who's actually going to use their name. You know, because it's their name that they're carrying. It's their baby, and they need to take care of it. Um, Something I wanted to say to you. This is going to put in risk a lot of other supermarkets. I think ShopRite is one of those supermarkets that is going to go a little bit downhill. I think they need to pick up their pace. In New York, they say that they seem to be fine, but that's New York. Wait till all these steps hard in New York, and they waited to go into the east side of the U.S. because it's more expensive, the east side of the U.S. That's why. So they were very efficient. They were very smart, very intelligent on doing this. And guys, yes, definitely we can help you guys out with optimizing your supermarkets, making it more energy efficient, making it easier for customers to go in and buy your products. I don't want to talk too much about Rimasi, but I do want to hear you guys out next time. And very much, thank you very much for listening to us today.
Thank
To
you,
you,
Ronald.
Simon,
Simon.
Director.
Thank you for joining us. See you next time.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Obrigado, gracias. Thank you. Take care. Good
Merci.
night.
Danke. Bye bye.
Bye.